What if I told you there are legal shortcuts that could get you a U.S. passport faster than most people ever imagine? In 2025, getting a passport through naturalization doesn't always mean waiting 5 or more years. If you already have a green card or plan to apply, you could become a U.S. citizen in as little as 6 months under certain conditions. In this video, we're diving deep into every possible fast-track option with real 2025 policy updates, strategic legal routes, and what immigration attorneys are seeing on the ground right now. Whether it's marriage, military service, or standard residency, you'll learn exactly how to go from green card to U.S. passport faster than you ever thought possible. Let's start by clearing up a common myth. Having a green card does not mean you can get a U.S. passport. A green card gives you permanent residency, not citizenship. And the passport? That only comes after you become a naturalized U.S. citizen. So the real question is, how fast can you become a citizen? Now, let's explore the fastest option out there, U.S. military service. This is the most underrated shortcut to citizenship. If you serve honorably in the U.S. Armed Forces, you may be eligible for expedited naturalization, sometimes in just 6 to 12 months. You heard that right. Under special provisions in the Immigration and Nationality Act, green card holders who serve at least 1 year in the military, or even less if during wartime or designated hostilities, can skip the typical 5-year or 3-year residency requirements entirely. That means no minimum physical presence, no continuous residency rules. As long as you meet the moral character and testing requirements, you could be a citizen within months. In 2025, the military pathway has become even more streamlined, with USCIS now offering military-focused caseworkers and faster processing for active duty members and veterans. Next up, the 3-year marriage rule, one of the most common ways people get their citizenship faster. If you're married to a U.S. citizen and you've been living together for 3 years while holding a green card, you can apply for citizenship after just 3 years instead of the usual 5. But here's the catch. You must have lived together for the full 3 years. Your spouse must have been a U.S. citizen that entire time, and you need to show physical presence in the U.S. for at least 18 months during those 3 years. Also, you'll need to prove that your marriage is genuine. Immigration officials will look at joint bank accounts, shared leases, photos, travel records, anything that shows a real relationship. If you qualify, you can file for naturalization 90 days before hitting the 3-year mark. Then comes the interview, the oath ceremony, and finally your U.S. passport, which you can often apply for the very same day. Now, let's talk about the standard path, the 5-year rule. This applies to most green card holders, including those who got residency through employment-based visas, the diversity lottery, asylum, or general family sponsorships not involving a U.S. citizen spouse. Here's how it works. You must live in the U.S. for 5 continuous years, be physically present for at least 30 months during that time, and not take any trips abroad longer than 6 months. You also need to demonstrate good moral character, meaning no major criminal history or tax issues. You can apply for naturalization 90 days before your 5-year anniversary. After that, the USCIS processing time in 2025 ranges from 6 to 12 months, depending on where you live. Once you're approved in a 10-year-old ceremony, you become a U.S. citizen, and that means you're eligible for a passport immediately. So how can you speed up the process in 2025? Regardless of which category you fall into, there are a few strategic things you can do. First, always file your N-400 application online through uscis.gov. It's faster, easier to track, and prioritized for processing. Second, check if you qualify for biometric reuse. If you've submitted fingerprints in a previous immigration case, you might not need a new appointment. Third, if you're in the military, ask about the fast-track military naturalization program. And lastly, USCIS now sometimes transfers cases to less busy service centers for faster interview scheduling. This could save you months. Once your application is approved, the final step before citizenship is the interview and the oath ceremony. At the interview, you'll answer questions from your application, take an English and civics test, and verify your eligibility. If all goes well and most applicants pass, you may even be invited to your oath ceremony on the same day. That's when you officially become a U.S. citizen. And the moment you're a citizen, you're eligible for a U.S. passport. In 2025, there are three main options for getting one. First is a routine passport, which takes about 6 to 8 weeks and costs around $130. Second is the expedited option, where you pay about $190 and get your passport in 2 to 3 weeks. But here's the secret. If you have international travel planned, you can go to a regional passport agency with proof of travel and walk out with a passport in 1 to 5 days, sometimes even the same day. But while you're working towards citizenship, you must avoid common mistakes that delay or deny applications. Leaving the U.S. for more than 6 months without proper documentation, failing to pay your taxes, having criminal records, or lying on your application can all lead to serious consequences. Also, failing the English or civics test can delay your journey. So make sure to practice using official USCIS study tools or apps. So let's recap. The fastest way to go from green card to U.S. passport is through military service, potentially in under a year. Marrying a U.S. citizen and living together for 3 years gets you there in about 3.5 years total. And for everyone else, the standard path is 5 years of residence, followed by 6 to 12 months of processing. If you made it this far, congratulations. You now know more than most immigrants and even some attorneys about the fastest legal paths to U.S. citizenship and a U.S. passport. Whether you're planning your future, helping your spouse, or advising a friend, this knowledge is power. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest immigration updates, policy breakdowns, and deep dives into U.S. law. Leave a comment telling us how long you've had your green card and which path you're taking. Thanks for watching and welcome to your American journey.